Hey guys, what's up? So in the previous video we talked about the resolution size and also the file format, and we've rendered an image to be posted in Instagram. And in this video I would like to talk about some post-production options. So if we want to edit our image after rendering, it's important to make some adjustments here in the parameters so that we can explore some features that can help us in the post-production process. So there are actually two important resources that we can experiment with here, and one of them is basically the alpha channel. So if our intention is, for example, just to change the background of the image in the post-production process, we can basically turn on this option here to apply an alpha channel. And now if we render our image, and I'll basically call it Villa Savoie with alpha and save it, you will notice that we'll have basically the same image as we've rendered before, but now we have control over the background or the transparency of the image. So, for example, if we open this image using a software like Photoshop, I will open here to make a test. Okay, now I can open the file that I've just saved. I'll go here in File, Open. I'll select it here. Okay. And here we can see that when we open the file in Photoshop, we can see that the background is empty, and we can even move our building around to check that now we don't have any kind of image being displayed where the sky was supposed to be. So I can now undo. So whenever we save a PNG file with the option of the alpha channel activated, we will have this possibility of identifying the alpha channel, and then we'll have transparency in our image. So now we can basically insert any kind of background that we want. So I will open a sky that I've provided for you. Okay, I'll select it here, and of course you can choose any other image that you like. Okay, and you can notice that the sky was open here in another Photoshop tab, so we can basically hold our mouse button here and drag this image till we get to the other tab, and then we can leave our sky here. Okay. If you take a look at our layers, we now have two layers, and we can move this sky layer to the bottom. So now we can see our Villa Savoie model, and now we can basically move around with our sky and place it in a better position. We can also use the Ctrl-T shortcut to decrease its size and maybe try to find a better composition. Okay, so I think that now it's fine. So basically this would be a very simple way of doing a post-production that was basically a change in the background of our model. Okay, so I can return now to SketchUp, and there is another interesting feature that can allow us to make a more interesting post-production, which is this option up here. So let's make another test, and for now I will deactivate the alpha channel, and I will activate this option up here where we can export the object ID, the material ID, and other channels. And basically I will once again click here to render, and now it's important to create a folder because we are going to produce more than one image. So I will create a folder called Render Elements, and I will store my renders here, and I can call the files render elements. Okay, and now after exporting the image, if we take a look at our render elements folder, you can see that we have the normal render, but we also have these 4 other images that can help us with the post-production process. So I will return to Photoshop, and I can basically close these images that we were working with. Okay, and now to open all the files that we've rendered at once, we can choose here File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. Then we can browse for our folder. Okay, I can select it here, and I can choose now all these 5 images that we've produced. and I'll click OK, and once again OK. And then we will have all the images organized as layers, and you can see that we have the main render elements image here on the top. And then we have this black and white image that can help us to make a mask, for example, and control once again the background. We also have the depth render element that can help us to simulate some kind of depth of field or even a fog effect. Then we have the materials ID image that allow us to make very specific selection based on materials, and also the object ID that can also help us with the selection process. So here I will once again turn all of them on, and of course it's very hard to teach Photoshop in just one video, but here I would like to make a very simple demonstration of how these render elements can help us to make adjustments in the post-production if we like. So for example, let's say that we would like to change the color of the Villa Savoye to yellow. In this case, if we didn't have access to the render elements, it would be a little bit hard to select all the walls that we need. But since we have the render elements, this process will be much easier. So for example, here we can hide the render elements layer, and then we can also hide the alpha and the Z depth. And here we can see the material ID image, which basically gives us solid colors for the materials. So if we would like to select the Villa Savoye walls, one very simple way would be to choose here the option select. Then we can choose the option color range that selects parts of the image based on the color. So we can click here, for example, in this blue color that appears in the walls. And you can see here that we are basically just selecting all the elements that have this color, and we can reduce the fuzziness so that the selection is more precise. We can even set it to 0. And now we can click here in OK. And you can see that we have now just the selection of the walls. So basically now we can unhide our main image here and select it, and then we can make the adjustments that we need. So there are many ways to apply a yellow tint here, and one way would be actually to click in this button down here and choose the option solid color, and then we can choose a yellow tone. I'll choose any kind of yellow here just to test it out. Okay. And of course, this result is a bit strange because we have a very solid color. So we need to change our blending mode here to a more interesting one. Maybe we can try the multiply option. Okay. And we can also reduce the opacity so that this effect is not so strong. So maybe somewhere around here will give us a more natural effect. And okay, so now we have our Villa Savoye with a brand new color, and we could achieve this result very easily by exploring our render elements. And if we are happy with this result, we can once again click here in File, and now we can save as a copy. We can choose to save in our computer, and here we can choose a name. So I will call it Villa Savoye Yellow. And we can once again choose a format. So if this is your final image and you would like to send it as an email or so, you can use the JPEG option. That would be the best one. But you can also keep saving it as a PNG or any other format that you prefer. So I'll click here and save. And then I can click here OK. And then we have our image produced with a very simple method of post-production. And also you can save this file as a PSD file. So you can once again click here in File, Save As. And I will call it Villa Savoye for post-production. Okay. So now, whenever you need to make any change to your image, for example, we could change the color to another one, or explore once again the render elements, you can always open this Photoshop file and make the adjustments that you need.